Welcome to this edition of CBN News Weekend. I'm Charlene Aaron. They're MIA, missing in action. I'm talking about fathers. Without dads, the Family Foundation has crumbled for many kids in America. While the problem isn't new, a movement created by 3 Christian musicians to solve it certainly is. Ephraim Graham has the story.
When you hear the phrase Renaissance movement, you might think of artists like Da Vinci, Donatello, and Michelangelo. Now, 3 Virginia artists who go by the names Legend, Mike, and Sinai want a different kind of Renaissance. One that would create a rebirth in today's culture, using rap, which one recent study calls the most important music genre in the past century.
Renaissance is a family of artists, and we just love God, love the gospel, really enjoy hip-hop, and we just use that as a tool to communicate the thing that's most sacred to us.
Their mission? Use the same beats, hooks, and rhymes that attract the masses to hip-hop while countering the usual negative message with the gospel. Apart from their love for God and passion for hip-hop, the 3 share a painful past, growing up without a father.
As I was growing up, I kind of hated my father, my biological father, because of the struggles that I had to see my mother go through.
It was difficult not having someone to speak into my life. I was getting that from my music.
It was probably around 11 to 12 when the realization that he wasn't here by choice hit, and that turned into bitterness.
As young people, each struggled with finding their identity and worth. God changed the hearts of Mike and Sinai's fathers, eventually leading to healthy relationships. Legend's father also reached out, but the reconciliation was short-lived, dying just months after asking for his son's forgiveness. Legend writes about that pain and his journey to forgiveness in the song Wish I Knew.
You've been forgiven by me. At the cross, my healing was purchased in advance for this pain right now I'm feeling. But it still sucks that I won't get another minute. Cause man, I really wish our story had a better ending.
These artists believe their first-hand experience puts them in the best position to fight this growing epidemic. Almost 25 million children in the United States are growing up without a father. That's 1 in 3. The African American community is hit the hardest, affecting more than half of black children. Experts call those numbers the fruit of a broken system.
Before the advent of the welfare state, there were very viable, prosperous, middle-class African American families all through this country. It was the devastation created by the welfare system that began this process.
Welfare critics say the system creates an incentive to have children out of wedlock. Why? Because an unwed single mother will receive more assistance if she is alone than if she has an employed husband in the home. In his book, Taken into Custody, Dr. Baskerville adds that government-based fatherhood initiatives aren't really helping anyone.
It's ironic that the government first creates the problem by removing the father from the home, and then they claim that they're solving the problem by creating expensive government programs to encourage fatherhood and restore fatherhood.
While not all African American children are on welfare, the fact remains 72% live in single-parent homes. That's what Legend, Sinai, and Mike hope to change by being the dads their fathers chose not to be, creating a music environment that connects people to a God who can help heal wounds left by a dad who wasn't there.
We pray that we really do start a movement of other artists who, rise up as well, that we can help rise up, that we'll be able to go out there and make good art with great content, have influence over the culture, and take a lot of the ears from people that are promoting the sex, the drugs, the violence as the main things you lift up, and take that influence away and say, no, that's not the way. It doesn't end well for you. It never has ended well for anybody. There's a better message to listen to, and we believe that message is in Christ.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
And here with us now is founder of the Renaissance Movement Music, Nigel Anderson. Nigel, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thanks
for having me. Awesome to have you here with us.
Yeah.
First of all, fatherlessness affects families in more ways than we could really count. Yeah. Tell us, how can mothers and kids who are directly affected by this deal with this problem?
I think knowing that there's hope in an eternal Father that won't let you down. Because you could have the best dad in the world, and he is going to let you down to somebody. I let my kids down sometimes. I love my kids. So I feel like, for me, the healing came when I recognized that even if my dad was here, the Father that I always had available in heaven was never going to let me down. I feel like that's the first thing you can cling to. And then out of that expectation, you can begin to have a lower expectation for other people. So even if you meet the best dad in the world, you won't expect them to match your Heavenly Father who will never let you down.
Excellent. So how can the church help with this epidemic problem?
The biggest thing for me, I think the two biggest things that the Western church is lacking is community and discipleship. And the discipleship piece, I think, is particularly important to men. And therefore, a lot of times, some churches don't have strong men in them. I think there needs to be initiatives in churches and with leaders to push men to step into the gap that's left by fathers who aren't doing their jobs, to be godly role models to these kids who are left lacking. Not that you have to push a romantic relationship with the mom or anything, but these kids need somebody to fill the gap with the gospel and can show them what a man is supposed to do, whether it's a young lady who needs to see a man who's going to treat her right or a man who knows how to be one. I think that needs to be a push of the church. This is disciple godly men who can step in the gap for kids who don't have that at home every night.
Very, very important. People in these categories, fatherlessness, single moms, they struggle with Father's Day.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
For years, I skipped over the verse, honor your blank and your mom. I don't know what that means. The biggest thing I would say, my mom did something for me one time. I was 16, and she took me out to Red Lobster on Father's Day and said, I want to celebrate the dad you're going to be one day.
Awesome.
And that changed my life, man. She was like, you're gonna be a good dad one day. And I wanted to live up to that so much that it changed my life. So having the expectation beyond who let you down and not living in that pain and dwelling, it's real pain. You got to go through that. You got to mourn the loss of what should have been. But I think taking the time to say, you can be better, or if it's a young girl, you're going to receive better than this. Don't think that this is all you can have as a man that's going to let you down. Like shoot for better than that. And I think moms can say there's a better bar than what we're experiencing and start to celebrate that in advance. That's what my mom did for me.
Excellent point. I understand you guys are about to release a new mixtape. It's free. Tell us a
Free
little bit
mixtape.
about it. What's the name of it?
It's just free mixtape. Hip hop's always been big on free mixtapes for promotional purposes. It's basically an album, but we just want to give it away for free. We're just rapping about everything. It's called First King. It'll be out June 30th, and it'll be available on our Facebook page, facebook.com/rmmusictv, or at noisetrade.com/rmmusictv. And the whole point of it is a lot of people want to claim the throne. Pastors, rappers, entertainers, everybody wants to claim they're the king of something. They run stuff. And at some time, you just got to say, no, this is only reserved for Jesus. At the best, we're servants. So that's what we talked about. A lot of that.
Excellent. Nigel, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Charlene.
Awesome. And we also want you to head on to cbnnews.com to learn more about the new mixtape and watch a sneak peek of what the Renaissance Movement music is working on next. And need a last-minute Father's Day gift for tomorrow? You may want to check out the new movie, The Secret Handshake, Coming of Age, a story that asks the question, what does it take to become a man?
Mr. Roper?
Get up. Get dressed. Bring your boots. We're going on a little hike.
This is illegal, dude. This is kidnapping.
Just going on a little camping trip.
The theme of this movie really just does come down to how do you teach a boy to be a man? And the joke, but not so funny, is, you know, my pitch line for the film was it's boys learning to be men from men who never learned themselves.
The film stars Kevin Sorbo of God's Not Dead fame as a suburban father of 3 girls who takes on the challenge of mentoring a troubled young man who has a crush on his teenage daughter. The Secret Handshake is now available on DVD exclusively in Walmart stores for Father's Day. While Americans are increasingly getting fed up with the insurance-based medical system we have in America, it often means long waits for appointments and doctors who seem to have one eye on the patient and the other eye on the clock. As Lori Johnson shows us, many patients and doctors are turning away from insurance and to what's known as concierge medicine.
When it comes to health care, Johnny Gary prefers old school, meaning just he and his doctor call the shots without any input from an insurance company.
It's been fantastic.
It's called concierge medicine. Patients pay their primary care physician a monthly fee in exchange for unlimited access 24/7.
Concierge medicine used to be for the rich and famous, not anymore.
We're trying to obliterate that stigma and make sure that people in this country understand that concierge medicine, or what we're calling direct medicine, is affordable and something that everybody should strive for.
Allergies are everywhere.
Here at Diamond Physicians in Dallas, adults pay from $95 to around $300 a month based on age. That covers all acute procedures and medications.
Say they have they fell and they cut their hand. Well, they come in, we sew them up. That laceration repair is an acute procedure. It's included in that low monthly fee. If they get a stomach bug and they need IV fluids and let's say some nausea medication, that's an acute medication. It's included. If they have a fracture and they need to come up to our office and have a splint placed, that's included.
Sometimes patients pay extra for services outside the office, like a CT scan. But doctors negotiate cash rates with those third-party vendors that are a fraction of what they bill insurance.
So for an MRI, for instance, we pass those savings on to our clients, $400 instead of $4,000. X-rays for $60 instead of $500. CBC, which is a blood check, $5. Cholesterol check for $6 instead of $126.
The cost for children is even less at $45 a month.
It's funny, I feel like my children only get sick on the nights and the weekends when the offices are closed. So they're available via text message, emails, whatever form of communication is most convenient for you. They answer immediately. I really have never waited more than 5 minutes maximum, maybe, for a return response. It is amazing.
Take a deep breath. Can you do that? Good.
Doctors recently gave Griffin here a breathing treatment, prescription, and a nebulizer to take home, all covered by the monthly fee and on a rainy Sunday afternoon. Perhaps the biggest difference between concierge and insurance-based medicine is the time patients spend with their doctors. The Affordable Care Act flooded offices of already overloaded primary care physicians to the point where FaceTime with doctors can average as little as 8 minutes.
I can't do anything effective in 8 minutes other than just throw a prescription at you and tell you to come back and see me in 2 weeks if it doesn't work.
Primary care doctors who accept insurance treat about 3,000 patients. The typical concierge physician, 500. Here at Diamond, doctors Lissy and James promise their patient load won't exceed 600.
I meet with my clients for about an hour every time they come in. Even if they're coming in for something acute, maybe a sinus infection, an ear infection, I take that time to talk about wellness, talk about nutrition, fitness, overall elevation of health.
Although concierge medicine involves paying cash for day-to-day medical expenses, doctors do recommend buying insurance, but with a high deductible.
But then use that insurance should you get in a car accident and have a 10-day hospital stay with a $100,000 bill. That $6,000 or $7,000 deductible looks awfully nice at that point.
So as insurance-based healthcare complicated this crucial need, more patients and doctors are going old school with a cash-only plan, similar to the way it was a half-century ago. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Next, all you need to know about concierge medicine, and we get the latest from Lori Johnson, so don't go away. Looking forward to it. Welcome back to CBN News Weekend. Concierge medicine is quickly becoming a popular alternative to your traditional health insurance medical treatment. And Lori Johnson is here to share more about it and what you should know. Lori, thanks you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned in your piece how concierge medicine benefits the patient.
Right.
Talk about how doctors also benefit.
Doctors love it. In fact, concierge medicine practices have gone up 800% in the last 20 years because doctors hate being controlled by the insurance companies. I mean, they want to spend time with their patients, too. They want to get deep into their patient care, but because the insurance companies don't reimburse very much, they have to see like 30 patients a day. On average, a doctor has to hire 2 full-time people just to deal with the insurance companies. It's just a mess.
Wow, and the one that you talked about was in Dallas, Texas.
That's right.
If someone wants to know about it and wants to sign up, they're in a different area. How can they do that?
Right. There are concierge medical practices in all places, even small towns. So the best idea is to get on the search engine, Google concierge medicine and your hometown, and there will be 1 or 2, hopefully more than that, practices that come up. Also, there's a great website, the American Academy Academy of Private Physicians, AAPP. Now, this is the big association for concierge medicine, not just for the patients, but also for the doctors. So if you're a doctor or a patient and you want to go to the association and do some fine-tuning and deep searching, go there.
I'm going there.
Yeah.
What questions should patients ask if they're considering joining something like this?
Well, of course, the main one is the cost. How much is it going to cost me as an individual, my spouse, my children? How much is it per person, per month? And what does that monthly fee cover? And they'll tell you the office visits, but you want to find out, vaccines, prescriptions, et cetera. And then also, of course, what extra costs can you expect? What does it not cover? And what can you expect to pay for those expenses? For example, your doctor's going to want, if you're a woman of a certain age, they're going to want you to get a mammogram. And they will negotiate with the breast imaging center a certain price for a mammogram that's a lot lower than what insurance covers. So those are the types of questions you should ask. What don't you cover, but how much will I have to pay out of pocket for that? Which is usually a lot less than you're used to paying. Also, what's the after hours policy? Let's say you get sick on the weekend or overnight. A lot of these concierge doctors will give you their, wait for it, cell phone number. And they say, I know, they say, call me anytime. That's the old school, right? Isn't that the way the old doctors used to do it? Call me anytime. And then also ask them, how long is the average visit? When I come to see you, when your patients come to see you, how long do you typically spend with them? And they will know the answer to that. Hopefully it's 30, 45 minutes, an hour.
I like what I'm hearing. Lori, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Excellent. Well, coming up.
Muslims were told to lie down on the floor, and they were killed.
He survived by drinking lotion and hiding in a cupboard. Get the exclusive story when we come back. In April, members of the Islamic extremist group Al-Shabaab attacked a university in Kenya, killing more than 100 students and taking hundreds more as hostages. One student hid in her room during the attack, miraculously shielded from the eyes of the killers. Angela Zatopek brings us this exclusive story.
The morning of April 2nd, gunmen stormed Kenya's Garissa University College, killing 147 and injuring some 80 people. The militant group Al-Shabaab also took 700 students hostage. They then freed the Muslims while killing those who identified themselves as Christians. 19-year-old Cynthia Cherotich survived the attack, and her story has gone viral on the internet. Cynthia hid in her wardrobe closet and drank body lotion just to survive. I recently was in Kenya and had the chance to sit down with her, as she's now ready to talk about what happened that day, her faith, and moving forward.
Suddenly we had the gunshots. And then I didn't believe that those were the Al-Shabaabs, because in my schools we are used to the gunshot because that place is not safe.
Gunmen first targeted members of the Christian Union on campus. Students and teachers fled to hostels. Cynthia returned to her dorm.
Two of my roommates were sleeping, and then I told them, now we are not safe. The people are firing the bullets everywhere. They started separating them from the Muslims and non-Muslims. They asked the question, the Muslims, and then they know, because those ones know how to recite the Quran, know how to read. But us, the students like us, they don't know, because we are not used to the Quran. So non-Muslims were told to lie down on the floor, and they were killed.
Realizing that the women weren't safe, Cynthia crawled in a small cupboard above her bed, accidentally leaving her purse on the floor. One of the men opened the cupboard where she was hiding and somehow didn't realize she was there. What was going through your mind when they were in your room and you could hear them? Were you praying to God?
I was praying to God, because I was telling my God that make them to be blind so that they cannot see me. Even when they were removing that bag, because that bag had covered my head, and it didn't recognize something was there. I stayed from that day up to Saturday morning, feeling hungry, and test. So because there was shopping, there was lotion.
After 3 days in hiding and drinking lotion to stay hydrated, Kenyan police discovered Cynthia.
How has this experience affected your faith, and what do you feel God has been trying to teach you through something as traumatic as this?
From that day, I say that I will never leave the word of God, because if it was not for God, I will not be there. Maybe I will be among the 147th killed student.
As we remembered the friends and loved ones she lost, I had to ask a final question. What would you say to the men of Al-Shabaab who did this to your friends that day?
You have to forgive them, because the Bible says, forgive your enemies, because they don't know what they are doing.
Angela Zatopek, CBN News, Kenya.
Rejoice, this is the day the Lord has made. That's our good news verse of the week from Psalm 118:24. Some days it might feel like you don't have much to rejoice about, but let's fix our eyes on God, the Redeemer of our lives. If we look to Him in humility, our joy will certainly follow. So let's fix our eyes on Him and let our hearts be glad. Well, Christian circles across the globe are mourning the loss of Elizabeth Elliot, one of the most influential Christian women of the 20th century.
Elizabeth's constant focus was on the holiness of Christ and becoming holy as He is holy. And that's just a message that we're not hearing from our pulpits nowadays. We don't hear a call to holiness, a call to an obedient lifestyle, a call to say no to sin, no to worldliness, no to ungodliness, and yes to the grace God provides when we follow Him. I mean, that almost sounds strange to our ears nowadays, but that was Elizabeth's focus from beginning to end.
Elizabeth's first husband, Jim Elliot, was killed while living among unreached tribes in eastern Ecuador. Elizabeth wrote numerous books on Jim's martyrdom, missions, and women's ministry. Tomorrow, we take a look at her life and talk with some of Elizabeth's friends. Well, that's going to do it for this hour of the CBN News Weekend. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And stay up to date with CBN News through Facebook and Twitter. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless.